Okay. Oh, we're live streaming. Oh, I forgot about that part. Happy to do it. Come on, let's get to present though. Looks a lot better that way. Okay. I gotta, can I just have a thumbs up from Jess that you guys can hear me and everything's okay? Okay, awesome. So I am here this evening to chat with you about launching your best-selling book. And I will just give you a little bit of background on me. So I have an MBA in marketing and entrepreneurship. Shortly after I got that degree, I worked for a company that helped the movie industry transition from film to digital cinema. I did everything for them from writing websites to updating the websites to we went public while I was there, so I was involved in that process. It was a crazy 8-ish years. Um, and then I went on to become an entrepreneur. And I need to update this slide because it's been more like 12 years now. Um, and since 2016, I've been helping authors achieve Amazon bestseller status. And I'm working now on a membership for authors as well as a podcast that is going to be called All Things Authorpreneur. So stay tuned about that because I'll share a little more about that at the end. So on the personal side, this is my family. You can see me and my husband in the middle there. My son Walter, the 13-year-old, on the left side of your screen, and my 15-year-old Stuart on the right side. And then, of course, the dog Lily, who I say is the only one who listens to me around here. So, so the goals for this presentation, what I really want you to walk away with is an understanding of why you may want to get bestseller status, to communicate the timeline that I use with my clients to help them through that process, to outline the whole process for you, and that's where we're going to spend most of the time, to talk about where clients can get stuck and find that they're really glad they're being supported, and also options to move forward if you want to connect further. So, my purpose is always to provide a roadmap for Amazon bestseller status. Sometimes when I say bestseller, people are like, New York Times? And I'm like, no. That is like a whole different animal. But I have worked on Amazon bestsellers for since 2016, and I have had a 100% success rate. Every single one of my clients has been in the top 20. Most have been in the top 5, and the vast majority have had number 1 bestsellers. But I always tell people as well that I can't promise that, because for all I know, Amazon's algorithm will change tomorrow, and guess what? Nothing will work. So, so I always like to share that I am at their mercy. So first, why do we want to get bestseller status? And, sometimes people say, oh, that's just, a label, or it doesn't really matter. But the reality is that it's not for your ego trip, right? Um, Especially if you're nonfiction. I mean, it's good no matter what, right? It's good for nonfiction. It's good for fiction. It helps. It increases Amazon's willingness to put you in front of people without you having to do the work, right? But the bottom line is that by the time you've written your book, I probably don't need to tell anyone here this. You've spent a lot of time and energy and emotional investment and financial investment to get to the point that you actually have a book in your hand, right? And so, why would you not make the absolute most of it if you have the opportunity to? I'm just always puzzled when people are like, nah, that's not important to me. So the next question I always get is, when's the best time to get working on your launch? And I always, when I work with a client one-on-one, I always like to get involved about 8 weeks before the launch date. And the reason for that is, and whether it's working with me or doing this on your own, right? Um, you need time built in there. You're going to be reaching out to people to ask them for help. You need time to ask. You need time for them to respond. You need time to follow up to those people who haven't responded, right? And the end of like completing the writing of your book and doing the cover and having the final edits done and all that, there's a lot going on. So you don't want to try to compress this into a really short period of time. You want to give yourself the time to create the best outcome. And for me, I have kind of found the sweet spot for that is about 8 weeks. Okay. So essentially, there are 5 steps to getting your book to be a bestseller. And that's, as I said, what we're going to spend the most of the time on today. So we're going to build a team. We're going to ask that team to take specific actions. We're going to give them everything they need to take those actions. Then we're going to get everyone really excited about the book. And then we're going to get a ton of people to buy the book. Simple, right? So step 1, build a team. So one of the top questions I get is, what makes a good team member for your launch? And what I always tell people is, well, if they're like Santa Claus and they have a really long list, or they have a lot of people that follow them on social media, or they have a big, recognition factor, they're going to be a good team member. Another kind of good team member is someone who's a friend of yours, right? Who's truly emotionally invested in your success, because they're going to take action to support you and do whatever you ask them to do. And then the third is very simple. It's someone who, when they say, you know what, I'm going to get that done for you, you know they're telling you the truth. So the ideal team member is someone who's all 3 of those things. But if they're like so really good in one area and not so great in another, that's okay. Because the truth is, pardon me, there's absolutely no such thing as too many team members. There's no such thing as, too many people sharing about your book on social media, right? Hold on one second. I have a tickle here. Pardon me. So you want to find as many as you can, and you want to then give them everything they need. And one of the big questions I get asked is, well, what's the minimum number I need, right? Everyone's looking for the low bar. What's the minimum? And the truth is, I can't tell you that. The other thing I can't tell you is, what's the minimum number of books you need to sell in order to be a bestseller? And the reason for that is, with team members, there's always going to be a percentage of people who say they're going to take action for you and don't. They forget, there's a health problem, their kid gets pulled out of school that day. Who the heck knows, right? There will always be a percentage. And some of them will be some of the most well-meaning, committed people you expect. And others, you're like, yeah, I knew that person wasn't going to get that done for me. It doesn't matter how many times they said they would, right? So, it's kind of a crapshoot. And again, it's just get as many as you can. And then with the, how many books do I need to sell? That is a dynamic number that is changing constantly. So I have no idea, and neither do you. It's a crapshoot. Okay, moving on. Oops, somehow I went backwards. I've never done that before. Okay, so step 2. So we've built the team. Now we're going to ask them to take specific actions. So really, there are only a few things that we're going to ask them to do. One is on our launch day, we're going to ask them to post on social media. Then we're going to send an email, if possible. Then we're going to have them join a Facebook launch event, or if you're a LinkedIn, guy or gal, have them join you there. And then we're going to have them participate in the launch event on launch day, because all these things just increase the attention and your ability to get attention on your book on your launch day. Now, there are other things that we're going to ask them to do, but these are more like we encourage these. We don't say you got to do this, right? So obviously, we'd kind of like them to buy the book themselves. Maybe buy one for a friend or the local library, or whatever, right? If it's a nonfiction book and it would be great for an association that's nearby, maybe they'd pick up a copy. So we always ask them that. And then we ask them to leave an honest review once they've had a chance to read the book, because reviews count on Amazon, and they're very valuable, as I'm sure you all know. And then we want to give them everything they need to make helping us as easy as humanly possible. So we're going to give them graphics. So these are examples of some graphics that I put together. And just so we're clear, I am not a graphic designer. I just like to play with Canva. But these are graphics that I put together for one client. And then I put, this is a very different style. So oops, see, I tried to go backwards that time and it didn't work. Okay. So this one is like, this gal had really great headshots, right? So I was able to incorporate them into her graphics. But then the woman who wrote Peace in Passing only had one headshot. And so I had to pull in other things to make the graphics work. Doesn't matter. If you're someone who has great headshots, awesome. If you're not, that's fine too. You can make anything work so that, and my kid's about to ask me for more time on his electronics. Yes, honey. Yep. Yep. Only in the middle of a presentation would that happen. Hold on 1 second here, folks.
The joys of live presentation.
I mean, I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. Yep. Okay, sorry about that. Like, how did I manage that? Anyhow, so no matter what your situation, you can make great graphics and you can pass them on to your launch team. Okay, written content. So we don't want them to have to write everything, right? We just want to give them what makes sense for our marketing and say, go put this out into the world. So we do a solo email that they can send to anyone they want to. We give them some different subject lines that they can choose from to pick and choose what their audience is going to appreciate or, be most likely to open. Then we give them some Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn copy, and then we shorten some of it up for tweets, depending on who our people are, right? If we have a bunch of tweeters or not. But we make it as easy as possible, because the lower that bar is for them to take action, the more likely it is that they give us some significant help. See, I don't know why it's going backwards. Okay, step 4. We're going to get everyone really excited about the book. So here, the best ways to do this, ramp up your social media, get together with your partners, whether you have them in a Facebook group, whether you're connecting with them otherwise, whether you're, like sending them little notes behind the scenes. You want everyone's excitement to be building, right? And of course, you're going to send an email campaign to them, helping with that, building the excitement as well. Promote your launch event, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook, to as many people as humanly possible, so that, you've got the energy all in one place trying to help you out on your launch day. And then step 5, get a ton of people to buy the book, right? So years ago, I used to work with people and we would do a free launch of their, information-based book on launch day. We have free Kindle edition. And then we'd sell the hardcover later. And I don't do that anymore. I usually only do full priced books, and we do whatever the Kindle price is going to be and um whatever the physical book is going to be. And that's the price, because again, we've worked too hard and we've spent too much money investing in these books to give them away. And I don't even usually do discounts. There are some people that I work with um, to help their clients, and they focus on a discount model. And so I'm willing to support them. But I'm constantly like, are you sure? I think we could get this for, $14.99 or whatever. Um, it's not necessary to discount your book to get a bestseller. It's not. So I've done it many times with my clients, and I want you to know that. But you do want to give some kind of hook for launch day. So you have to think about, what is it that you're going to do on your launch day that will get people to commit and buy on that day, rather than just putting the book in their shopping cart, right? You don't want to be sitting in a shopping cart. You want people to say, oh, okay, click buy now, right? Um, Again, it's going backwards. And for me, that's often something that's free and very inexpensive, free or very inexpensive, that they will opt into email to get, because I am all about getting people's email marketing address or email addresses for future email marketing for them, right? I mean, that's really important for a lot of my audience, because I tend to work with nonfiction authors, and they're usually trying to upsell people from that book. But I think it's important for every author, because if you're writing a novel, you're going to want to write another one. And when you do, you want to tell people, hey, my new book's coming out. Go buy it, right? And will you be on my launch team next time? So I do want to point out a couple places where clients often get stuck, and I see the difference between going it alone for your launch versus having support with it. So I was saying earlier that my book is a lot about mindset. Let me tell you, if you want something that's going to mess with your head, and I'm sure those of you who have put a book out for the first time know this very intimately, go ask people to help you launch your book, or go write the marketing copy for your book. And I mean, to me, it's kind of like writing your own resume, right? I don't know about you, but I can sit down with somebody that I know and I can help them do all the bullet points in their resume, and they sound brilliant and they sound like someone anyone would want to hire. But anytime I tried to do that for myself, I was an absolute disaster. So writer's block comes right in and causes you a lot of trouble. um, so, I think it's really beneficial to have someone on the side who does this on a regular basis to help you through all that and keep you moving forward. The other place a lot of clients, friends I see get stuck in is the technology woes. So, I'm lucky. My first entrepreneurial business was as a virtual assistant. I built a virtual assistant platform. I built it up. I had a whole team of people that worked for me. Um, I didn't work with any technology. I didn't let my team work with any technology that I couldn't help the client myself, because I didn't want to be like in a pickle if somebody couldn't do something. But I know that I am like a freak of nature, that I can do all this technology stuff. And so many of my clients are like, I have no idea. I have no idea how to integrate an email an email sign up with my website. I have no idea how to, make an autoresponder happen, make an email happen when someone signs up for the list, right? Or so many other things. So having someone hold your hand through that process is really important and really helpful. And then, of course, I don't know about you, but we can tend to procrastinate. People procrastinate. So, so having someone to keep you on track is really, really helpful. So that's, that's what happens when you, if you were to work with me for a done for you plan. I do all that stuff. I create all emails from to people's teams. I do all the marketing content. I create opt-in pages. I create book marketing pages, and I hold my clients' hands through the process. So if any of you are in that place and you're thinking about launching and you might want some help, let me know. And if not, that's cool. And I hope this has been really helpful. Either way, you can connect with me at SuzanneMoore.com. You can book a meeting with me that's like no commitment or anything. Before I do questions, I also want to mention you can get kind of a summary document of this presentation at SuzanneMoore.com/5 steps launch. And that will kind of help if you do want to do this by yourself. It will really help break down the steps for you, and it gives some deeper guidance and information in there. And I think I'm going to turn my screen share off for questions. And there's some, and I also wanted to say, so at the beginning, I mentioned that I'm going to be starting the podcast, All Things Authorpreneur. And if you do opt into that, getting that goodie, you will be on my list, which means you will know when I start that, and I will be reaching out because it's going to be an interview format show. So, if those of you want to be interviewed or talk about marketing books or any of that stuff, I'm going to be looking for that. So I wanted to make sure I noted that. And I want to put that link in the chat.
I added your freebie in the chat.
You did. Thank you. Thank you. Then I don't need to. So I'm happy to answer questions. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much. It is the top of the hour. If anyone has to leave, feel free to just dip. If you'd like to unmute and ask a question to Suzanne, then now's the time, or add it in the chat. I love that you mentioned swipe files, like having something to give to your launch team. So you're not just saying, yeah, just do it. Like, you be a marketer, but you can actually say, here's copy, here's graphics, size for Instagram versus whatever. Here's Twitter character length copy versus email copy. I think that's really important, because when it comes to getting reviews from customers and with, launch people and collab buddies, everybody, we should make it as easy as possible. So I really appreciated that. And Mel, what's up?
Hey, great presentation. Thank you for being here. Quick question in terms of, as an author, you mentioned one of the critical elements is the team. So based on your experience, what are some pointers you can give authors in terms of building that proper team? Who to reach out to, how to cultivate that relationship and expand your team?
Yeah. Well, hopefully you're already trying to make inroads with author communities on social media, right? And author communities are connected with readers, right? That's just the way things go. So they're going to be awesome team members. And if you can build those relationships before you need team members, it's really beneficial, because then when you do, you're asking a friend, you're asking at least a colleague, right? For some help. And they're probably going to know and feel that you would turn around and do the same thing to help them. So I think that that's one of the number one ways. I think that um, I think that sometimes we think that only those people in our current realm make sense as launch partners, but actually sometimes people who are way outside of it make great launch partners, right? So when I did my book, I thought about like, well, who have I used, like who used to work with me? They may not know what I'm doing so much in my entrepreneurial world, right? But they respected me, they liked me, they were my friend, at least, office friend, right? Why can't I go back and ask them? And many were happy to share my book, right? And excited for me. And um, I laugh all the time because one of my good friends from my MBA program, um, she's been like so amazed at the fact that I've written a book. Now, this is a girl who's run like 5 Ironmans. And I'm like, you realize I sat on my ass the whole time, right? Like, like I mean, like, this was nothing, honey. Right? Um, and yet she's just so impressed with me, and she's always my biggest fan online. So you never know where that person is or who's going to be the one who is, putting your stuff out there. Just ask and ask and ask and give when someone else asks.
Thank you.
Of course. Hi,
All
Linda.
right. Linda, you're up.
Okay, so you mentioned on launch day, rather than giving a book away for free or discounting, to do some kind of another promotional freebie of some sort. Do you have any examples of that?
Absolutely. So, so what I know a lot of entrepreneur authors, so people who have businesses and then launch books do, is they invite their launch partners to give stuff away that they would give away for free anyway, right? Like, I'm sure as you've gone down the path of trying to learn things about marketing your book or writing your book, you've found freebies on people's websites that you're like, oh, all I have to do is give them my email address and I can download that, right? Well, I've seen and been on launch teams where like 50 launch partners are all giving away their free gift as long as you buy the book first, right? So there's a lot out there available for free. It doesn't need to be your book, but the purchase of your book can be the gatekeeper to someone getting access to all that free stuff, if that makes sense. Does it?
Yes and no. I mean, for a fiction author,
So
one thing has been suggested is do some kind of a linked short story that I offer for free.
absolutely.
Are there
Yep.
any other possibilities, or is that probably the best one?
So I think that's a great idea. I've seen people do the first chapter of their next book. I've seen what else I have seen people give away, and I did on my launch day, I gave away bookmarks and signed book plates. So if somebody signed into to get a free download on my website, because I did a workbook that went along with my book, they could give me their mailing information and I would send them a bookmark and a book plate, and I would sign the book plate so that they could put it in their book. I also did, and I think this would be great for a fiction author. You could select a few books that you think your readers would also like, and you could say everyone who opts in here. So you put an opt-in on your launch page, And everyone who opts in here on my launch day, and they have to include their Amazon order number, they can be entered into a raffle to potentially receive one of these books. And I'm going to give, one of each of them away, or 3 of each of them away, or something like that. So that's another way that you can entice people to purchase on your launch day. Does that help?
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Good.
And just so I'm going to wave goodbye now because I am late getting off of here. I have to go to my second job at this point. So, all right. Good seeing everybody. Hopefully see you all next week.
Hi, Linda.
Bye.
Jackie, what would you like to say?
I just wanted to piggyback on what Suzanne was talking about, of getting with outside the box. It doesn't have to be author communities, because even if you've got a fiction book, say your main character is a quilter, reach out to quilting communities, reach out to, whatever your characters are doing. They have some kind of, like police officers, if your, character's police officer or whatever, but, focus on that kind of stuff. Because I did with my community in my past life, in my past corporate life, and reaching out to all those people who shared my subject matter. And people who I didn't expect to were like sharing it all over the place. So it'll surprise you of who's gonna come in. So share with every freaking buddy.
And ask, be willing to ask, right? We're so programmed not to ask for things. I think it's our default setting, right? But when you practice asking for help and asking people to support you, it actually delights them to do so in many cases, right? So you're kind of giving them a gift by asking them to help you, if that is in their nature, right? Because they'll feel good about it. So.
Okay, well, I think we're done with questions. Thank you so much for staying overtime to answer our questions and just enlighten us a little bit about so many things. I mean, asking, that's a great way to end off, because I think a lot of us don't. And that's an important step.
It's true for just about everything we need to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone. And thanks especially to the people in my small group. I really enjoyed it. And thanks for listening. And if I can support you in any way, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne. And thank you everybody for staying overtime. See y'all next week.